An $18 billion AI startup just made waves, offering $34.5 billion cash for Google Chrome. But wait, a rival just topped that with a $35 billion bid. If Judge Mehta orders a divestiture, who will control the world's gateway to the web? This isn't just about browsers. It's about the future of search, ads, and your privacy. Stay tuned to see how this could change everything.
Gary, moving forward, thing number 4, we're actually bringing Perplexity into the fold, which super excited about. We have not talked about them much on the 5 things here. They actually made a $34.5 million bid. Gary, thing number 4, Perplexity submits a bold, like I said, $34.5 million bid for Google Chrome amid antitrust pressure. Wow. Yeah, that's big. That's actually huge. So very interested to dive into this and get your thoughts, and I will have some as well.
All right, good. So, Rob, I'm just going to correct you on one thing. It was not a $34.5 million bid. It's $34.5 billion.
Billion, excuse me. Yes. So
okay,
I was excited at 34.5 million. So now I'm just
1,000 times more excited.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. It's early
exactly
on the West Coast, the real West
exactly.
Coast.
All right. So Perplexity is an AI startup. It's a private company valued at about $18 billion. And they made an unsolicited all-cash offer of $34.5 billion for Google's Chrome. It is a calculated move, and the reason is Google is currently in front of an antitrust court. The truth is Google has been not so good on the antitrust side. Most of our big tech companies have not always been great on that. And, you know, they're in front of U.S. District Judge, hold on, let me get the name right, Amit Mehta. I wonder if it's Meta or Meta.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, Meta.
It's Meta. That's what I thought. All right, good. Yeah. For our Indian viewers, correct me if I got it wrong, please. Anyway, they're looking for potential remedies in this antitrust case. Spinning off assets, including Chrome, could be one of them. I don't think Google wants to do that, but you know, we'll see what Judge Mehta says in terms of their options. Perplexity did agree to allow user choice, to keep Chrome open source, and to commit $3 billion over 2 years toward development. Sale negotiations seem unlikely. I don't think Google has any interest in doing this. And then making things even more fun, Search.com entered the unsolicited bidding. They put in a $35 billion cash offer backed by JP Morgan. Wow. So everybody's circling Google on this one.
Well, and I mean, Gary, I think it's what we were talking about earlier with NVIDIA and their chip case, right? Because what I've been talking about recently is Google, for the first time, more or less, right, over the last 20 years, has been driving almost 100% of all of traffic and controlling that, right? Controlling it through Chrome, controlling it through their extensions, controlling it through search. And we've seen it with our own website traffic on Flying V Group. Same thing. For the last 10 years, it's been exactly that split as well. Well, just over the last 6 months, you've had that go from 99.9%, right, to, wait a minute, all of a sudden ChatGPT, LLM, Perplexity, it's at 97.9%, which, you know, someone might say, well, not a big deal, right? We're talking about huge movement, right, of volume and source attribution. And then not only that, but what we're seeing, the value on that traffic that's coming, to where a lot of that Google traffic is just, it's just not as good, right? It's not as valuable. It's not as high intent. And so this is interesting in that Google's in a situation where they almost have to maintain Chrome because that's where they're getting all their user data information, and they're on the arms race, right, to obviously accelerate legacy Google search. But then, you know, you have this antitrust that Perplexity is using against them, to where if you turn Google Chrome over to Perplexity, again, that wave just might be, it could be big. I don't know what that means. I'll never count Google out of anything, obviously, but it's just a crazy dynamic. And yeah, it does lead me to my question for you on the deal side or antitrust wise. I mean, how much pressure does this put on Google to do something, and what should they do, or how should they navigate this?
So first, Rob, always interesting talking to somebody who runs an advertising firm on anything Google related, right? I mean, their core business really is advertising. So really interesting to hear, your description of it. And you're right, going from 99.9% to 97% doesn't sound like a big deal, but not only is it a lot of money, the competitors went from 0.1% to 3%. That's a 30x, right?
Fast.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you honestly, my view on this is very mixed. On one hand, when it comes to Google, I do love YouTube, and certainly, we're broadcasting there now, and we've enjoyed growing the channel there. But I watch it myself every time I need to learn to do something, or sometimes in the evening. It's just a nice way to unwind. Funny pet videos, stuff like that. Or interesting film analysis or literature analysis. It's just great stuff on YouTube. I really like it. And then I'm of course one of those crime thinkers who uses Samsung phones and tablets, which are built on Google's Android. So I like that as well. But there really is an issue with Chrome because there are legitimate concerns about how Google uses Chrome to gather data and invade user privacy. And I can tell you the reason I have never used Chrome is because the first time I tried it, it was very, very difficult to do things like erase your browser history or, clear your cache or say, hey, please don't store information about me. Please don't store this. Please don't use this, right? And somebody might say, oh, well, if you have nothing to hide, that's completely beside the point. I don't think there's anything that interesting in my browser history, but that doesn't mean that I want it stored and used and sent to advertisers, right? That's just, when it comes to privacy, I'm very much a civil libertarian. And this is an issue for Google. Do I think any of these offers are going to force Google to sell and enter negotiations? No, Google's not going to do that. But what it does is it puts in front of Judge Mehta Google no longer can say, oh, we couldn't possibly spin this off. It would be too complicated. There's no interest. No, there is. There's already a bidding war from companies who are saying, yeah, we'll take this, we'll leave it open source, we'll invest in development, we'll give people a choice of which search engine you want to use on it. All of these things are very pro-consumer options, and it'll make it very hard for Google to say, oh, well, this couldn't be done. It absolutely can be done. And so a big part of it, and this I'm gonna credit DKI's interns. This was great writing here. I'm reading what they wrote over the weekend. Perplexity's aggressive bid is a masterclass in strategic opportunism, calculated, bold, and undeniably shrewd. By stepping forward as a potential owner of Chrome, the startup flips the script, no longer just chasing users, it's chasing influence. These are 19-year-old kids writing this stuff.
Yeah, but credit. I mean, that's I hear you in terms of one, crediting them, but also I'm not surprised because of how advanced I've seen that group, right? In understanding how these technologies are used, the influence, you hear influence, right? And everyone thinks just influencer this, influencer that, right? And sure, yeah, there is a market on that side of influencer marketing that is kind of, I don't really use it much at all, right? But then you think about it on the flip side, well, 99% of influencer marketing is just controlled by Google, Meta, right? Big brands with influence and authority. They're just doing it through their brand. And so, it's such an interesting dynamic just to see where demand is being pulled from, and it's through attention, visibility. And I think you mentioned it. YouTube's a great one, in terms of argument for Google, in my opinion, is that is something that's providing real value, right? It's unique, it's decentralized user base, right? It's not just mainstream media pumping the stuff through the pipes, and it's cheap, right? And it's accessible. So it's gonna be wild. It's we're in for a very interesting next couple of years with this AI arms race and these big tech giants just laying blows, and obviously the geopolitical stuff that's going on here as well. Just absolutely fascinating. This is the 5 things. I know we're running a little long today, but so much good stuff to talk about. We got a few more here to cover. One more thing to know for the investing week when you get out there in the market. If you have any questions, head over to deepknowledgeinvesting.com. You can use the Ask Gary feature. We've also got some cool new features that are going to be rolling out on the website that allow you to pick different pieces of the site from an AI perspective, query certain things, as well as just old-fashioned email Gary at ir@deepknowledgeinvesting.com. We'd love to have your questions show up on this week's or next week's version of the 5 Things.